Hi and welcome to vSAN in 3 minutes. Today it's part 3 of vSAN performance testing with HCI Bench. If you haven't seen parts 1 and parts 2, I'd encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and view those first. If you remember at the end of part 2 we'd finished our tests and we're about to go and review the results. So here in this window you see an index of all my results for all the different tests that I've run. But what we really want to do is go and view the exact results for the tests that I just previously did. So if we go and find that folder and select it, we should see a couple of different files within that folder. The first one is the res.txt file, and the res.txt file is basically an aggregate of all the information or the data that was captured into something that makes a little bit of sense for the user. So you see here in my very modest nested environment here, what it's broken down for me is the number of virtual machines and a couple of interesting metrics that I might want to pull out. However, inside this folder, there's a number of different files, text files as well. Each of these represents a different test run that's been run as part of this VD Bench benchmark. So let's look inside one. And you see there's a lot of information as to the exact tests that are being done and the information that's coming out at this particular time. This is something that if you really wanted to drill down into the nitty-gritty of what's going on and the sort of metrics that are being collected here, then this is something a customer can do. It's quite a large file, and you see there's a number of different data points in here as well. One of the really interesting things though is the ability to, inside this other folder, is to look into the stats.html file, which presents a vSAN observer-like interface to the customer. So straight away inside vSAN Observer we're seeing this vSAN client interface, which is essentially the view of what the virtual machine is seeing at this particular time. And again, in my very modest test environment, I can see a different breakdown of some high-level statistics such as latency, IOPS, and bandwidth and other sorts of things as well. I can drill further down into these full-size graphs, and that will break down even further for me the difference between read and write latency and the difference between read and write IOPS and those sorts of things to make a lot more sense for the customer as part of that scenario. I can also then look purely from the vSAN disks perspective, not so much from the virtual machine itself, so anything that's in that path. So from the disks perspective, again, I have the same view and I can see exactly what's going on at the disk layer within vSAN as well, right down to a read and write breakout. It's really interesting actually to be able to correlate these two pieces of data to make sure that there's not other external factors such as network and others that are part of this. I can also look deep down into some of the information that's going on at the physical disk layer, whether it's the SSD or the magnetic devices. I've got interesting metrics such as the read cache hit ratios and the filling up of a write buffer, cache evictions and other sorts of things as well for a specific host. And then I've got fuller graphs as well for each individual disk. There's other metrics. There's a lot more information in the vSAN Observer vSAN in 3 minutes video, which I'd encourage you also to find. But one of the interesting things is to drill right down into the virtual machine, and this is the VD Bench virtual machine here. The other thing I might want to do too is to save the result. For instance, if I want to compare the results from what I've done 1 month ago, I might want to save this actually as the zip file, and I can compare. I've now got all that data and I can compare that to future tests. And really that's as simple as it is for HCI Bench. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Please go and visit some of the links on our website, and please stay tuned for more videos in the vSAN in 3 minutes series coming soon. And thanks for watching.